people feel that Belle is boring, like she doesn't really stand out compared to all the other Disney princesses. Some even say that she's one of their least favorites, which honestly surprises me every time I hear it. And while I wouldn't say Belle is my favorite Disney princess, because in my opinion, those top spots belong to Cinderella and Princess Tiana, I definitely don't think she's boring, not even a little. I actually think the complete opposite. I think Belle is one of the most quietly complex Disney princesses. There's a subtle depth to her that people tend to overlook because she's not constantly doing something bold or loud. But when you really pay attention to her actions, her mindset, and the way that she carries herself, you start to realize that Belle's strength comes from something deeper. Something more emotional and personal than just adventure and romance. People argue that Belle's story doesn't have much to it and that her character as a whole just isn't interesting. And the common complaint is that all she really does is read. And because of that, she comes off as boring or plain compared to the other Disney princesses. But honestly, I couldn't disagree more. If you take a closer look at her story, her journey, and who she is as a person, Belle is actually a lot more layered than people give her credit for. Personally, I think the fact that she reads is one of the best things about her, as someone who also loves to read. And also, her reading makes perfect sense for her character. In the opening sequence of Beauty and the Beast, we get the musical number titled Belle. And this is our introduction to her world and who she is. In the lyrics, we learn that Belle is stuck in a repetitive routine, with the same people, conversations, and places every single day. She literally sings about how predictable her town is, and how she craves something more, something new and exciting. And to me, that already shows that she isn't boring. She's honestly just stuck in a boring environment, at least in her eyes. She's surrounded by people who are perfectly content with doing the same thing every single day, and women who wouldn't even dream of the kind of adventures that Belle imagines. So really, if we're going to be honest, the village is boring, not Belle. Because at least she's aware of how limited her world is and has the imagination to want something beyond it. And when she says in a song, there must be more to this provincial life, many people see that as her feeling like she's better than everyone else around her. But I disagree. I actually see this line as a cry for freedom. It shows how deeply unhappy she is with her circumstances of life. So when we see her constantly reading, it's not that she has nothing better to do, but because reading is quite literally the only escape that she has. Every book that Belle picks up helps her experience something new. A different world, a different life, and a different possibility. Through her book, she gets to live out those adventures that her real life doesn't allow her to have. And that honestly makes her so relatable. Who hasn't felt stuck in their routine before? Who hasn't stared into space dreaming about something bigger? To me, that's what Belle represents. The longing for more and the hope that one day it will come. She's not boring. She's a dreamer stuck in a place that doesn't understand her. And that's exactly what the writers were trying to show through her character. Aside from her love for reading, Belle continuously does things throughout the movie that completely disproves the boring idea that people have about her. And one of the clearest examples is the way that she handles Gaston, the man every woman in the village wants and every man basically idolizes. When he arrogantly barges into her home uninvited and starts demanding that she marries him, Belle doesn't freeze up. She handles the situation in the most intelligent and graceful way possible. She doesn't yell or lose her cool, but she stays calm and confident. The entire time he's talking, Belle plays along just enough to make it seem like she's listening to his ridiculous demands. But in reality, she's leading him step by step straight out the door. She responds to every one of his comments with composure, and by the end of the scene, she smoothly escorts him out of the house and even shuts the door in his face. This whole scene was so satisfying to watch. And I think this scene alone can honestly prove that she isn't boring. She's smart, assertive, and knows exactly what she wants for herself. In a time where almost every other woman in the village would have been honored to be chosen by Gaston, Belle stands her ground and says no. She refuses to settle for a life that doesn't align with her dreams. She could have easily gone along with what everyone else expected of her, but she doesn't. She chooses her own path, even when it makes her stand out and look like the odd one. And if we go back to what I mentioned earlier about Belle craving adventure, Mary and Gaston would have completely destroyed that dream. Gaston literally tells Belle that his wife would stay home, raise the children, cook, clean, and rub his feet, basically living a life that revolves around him. He made it clear that he wouldn't want an equal partner, but someone who would serve him. So if Belle said yes, she would have been giving up everything that makes her who she is. Her independence, curiosity, and desire for something more. And on top of that, Gaston actually criticizes Belle for reading. He says that it's not right for a woman to read because soon she'll start getting ideas. And that line is a perfect example of why Belle will never fit into his world. He's not just arrogant, but he's also threatened by intelligence. He doesn't want a woman who thinks for herself or dreams beyond her small town life. He wants someone that stays ignorant to the possibilities that exist beyond their little village. But Belle has already outgrown that mindset. So when people say that Belle is boring, I honestly don't see how. In my opinion, if she were boring, she would have married Gaston, lived the same repetitive life as everyone else in the village, and given up her own dreams just to please others. But instead, she stands firm in who she is and what she wants. And of course, she didn't want to marry Gaston for a lot of other reasons, but for the sake of this video, I only provided that one example. I also think that Belle's overall journey is really interesting. From the moment her story begins, she shows so much courage and determination, which are qualities that are the complete opposite of boring. When Belle discovers that her father didn't return home with their horse, she doesn't just sit around waiting for someone else to help. She doesn't admit defeat. Instead, without any hesitation, she takes action. She jumps onto the horse and rides into the unknown completely alone, not knowing what dangers might be waiting for her or how long the journey could take. And that's such an underrated moment of her bravery. The forest was dark and cold, terrifying, and filled with wolves and danger in every corner. But Belle didn't let that stop her. Her love for her father outweighs the fear of the unknown. And when she finally finds her father's hat laying in the snow outside of the beast's castle, she doesn't just take it as a warning and turn around, but instead she goes into the castle alone. She doesn't know what kind of creature or danger she's walking into, but she's determined to find her dad and bring him back home. That moment shows exactly what kind of person that Belle is. She's brave, loyal, and selfless. And then when she finally finds her father locked in a cold, dark cell, and also meets the beast for the very first time, she's faced with an impossible choice. The beast is intimidating and cruel, and any reasonable person would have been terrified. But Belle doesn't run away. She sacrifices herself, trading her own freedom for her father's. And she volunteers to take his place and stay in the castle as the beast prisoner. I don't think that's something a boring person would do. That's something a deeply compassionate and brave person would do. And even after becoming the beast prisoner, Belle doesn't lose her sense of curiosity or her need for adventure. She could have easily sat in her room, miserable and hopeless, but that's not in her nature. And despite being told that she wasn't allowed to explore certain parts of the castle, she still does. Because like I said throughout this entire video, Belle craves adventure. Even though her situation is scary and completely out of her control, she finds a way to make something of it. And in doing so, she ends up discovering a new world, new friends, and even a new side of the beast himself. This unexpected journey that started from the love of her father ends up completely transforming her life. It leads her to see beyond appearances, to form genuine connection, and eventually to fall in love. And honestly, in my opinion, that whole arc is far from boring. It's one of the most emotionally rich and courageous character journeys that Disney has ever shown. At the end of the movie, when Belle finally returns home to her new sick and now lonely father, she performs one last act of courage that really brings this entire journey full circle. Even after everything she's been through, she still puts her loved ones first. When the townspeople and Gaston try to have her father taken to an asylum, Belle doesn't back down. Despite everyone laughing at him and calling him crazy, she stands up in front of the entire village and defends him. And this is where Belle's bravery shines through once again. She knows exactly what she's risking by speaking up. She knows that mentioning the beast, the very creature that everyone believes is just a figment of her father's imagination, can make her look just as crazy in their eyes. But she speaks up anyway. She pleads with them to believe her and shows them the beast and the enchanted mirror as proof. That moment is so powerful because it shows that Belle values truth and love over her own reputation. And when Gaston tries to turn the crowd against her and paint the beast as a monster, Belle doesn't stay silent. She confidently tells Gaston that the beast isn't a monster, but he is. Belle isn't afraid to call out cruelty. She never has been, even when she's standing alone against an entire village. And then when she races back to the castle and finds the beast and Gaston fighting in the rain, she doesn't hesitate to put herself in danger once again. When Gaston falls to his death, Belle puts her life at risk to save the beast. It's another selfless act, a moment that proves that her love isn't passive or quiet, but active and brave. She's willing to risk everything for the people that she cares about. And ultimately, it's that same love that saves the beast's life and breaks the curse, transforming him back into the prince that he truly is. It's not just a magical ending, but a reflection of Belle's strength. Her compassion and courage change not only the beast, but everyone around her. Belle's story in The Beauty and the Beast isn't boring. It's a story about adventure, self-discovery, and choosing love and integrity over fear and conformity. So no, in my opinion, Belle is not boring. Not even close. She's creative, adventurous, courageous, curious, selfless, and honestly a hero in her own right. She might not be the flashiest princess, but she's one of the most genuine and quietly powerful ones that Disney has ever created. So I want to end this video asking your thoughts. Do you believe Belle is boring?